Good evening, everyone. I am Art Chat Daddy Sims. I almost forgot who I was there for a minute. It's been so much that has gone on since we've last seen each other on Friday. I'm looking forward to another great show tonight. My heart is extremely heavy in many different ways, and we'll just talk about the heaviness of my heart as well as just where are we in this world. Just everything is so topsy-turvy right now, and we just don't know. But I do promise you another entertaining and informative show. What is going on? Make sure my camera is dying. Dion, are you there? You can hear me, right? Let me bring you in. Dion, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
I'm losing my camera. Oh, this is horrible. I wonder what the problem is.
No.
Let me figure out what it is.
Okay. Well, if everybody can see me, hello. I know Art will introduce me, but let's see if we can get Art back.
Keep talking, Dion. Tell him who you are and all that great stuff. Dion is our co-host tonight. We just love and adore her. Let me see what we're doing here. Okay, go ahead. Keep talking, Dion.
Yeah, well, I know. I'm hoping you can figure that out. And I am really honored to be with you tonight to share.
Did I lose you?
Right now, we need some support. We need some love. We need arms around us virtually. And my name is Dion Nicole Smith, and I'm really, really happy to be here with Art tonight. My background is varied, and I have a wide background, but the heart of it is philanthropy, from sports to disability rights to theater to film, and now medical related. But I'm here because, yay, there you are. Yay!
I'm back.
I'm so happy. Yay!
Yes. Hey, okay, go right ahead.
You're back. Hooray! What? Well, I'm here because I care. And as someone who is a beautiful Black woman in this country, my heart is breaking right now. Just like a lot of you, it should be just like every person who's a human being on the face of this earth. My heart is breaking right now, and I know we're going to get into it. I just want to ask Art, how, I'm going to be real ghetto right now. How do I share this on Facebook so we can get people in here?
All right, so now that I'm back on the screen, let me explain everything to everybody. And look, and I'll help you out. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I'm your host, Art Sims. As you guys know, technical difficulties is what we have been navigating our way through since the beginning of this pandemic, COVID-19. Tonight on the show, you guys met this amazing, fabulous, wonderful young lady, Dion Nicole Smith. She is all that and then some. Tonight, she is rocking her Angela Davis, Don't Get Me Started hairdo.
That's right.
And, yes, I know. And it's beautiful. And that's your hair, right? That is your hair.
Oh, heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. See? Yeah. Yes. Amen. Right. You don't take that off and sit it on the nightstand.
No, that's mine.
100% you. That's right. Rock it, baby.
Right. I can pull it out for you.
Oh, I love it. And you can touch it. It. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Right.
Well, coming up on tonight's show, we're going to talk about the number one news story that has been trending all over the world is all the rioting and looting as a result of the untimely death, let's just say murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. It was 1 week ago today, which was the holiday weekend. It was actually Labor Day. And was it Labor? Yeah, or Memorial Day.
Labor Day.
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. It was that Monday.
Right. Yep. When we found or when we saw what happened to a gentleman in Minneapolis, Minnesota, has changed the entire trajectory of how we think, how we have lived. For those of us here in the city of Chicago, we have experienced 48 hours of just trauma, 48 hours of looting, 48 hours of uncertainty. And so tonight, joining us on the show is the president and CEO of the Chicago Urban League. Karen Freeman Wilson will join us later on in the show. And as you guys know, she was the first African-American female mayor of Gary, Indiana. And we're going to talk to her tonight just about her thoughts on everything that has gone on in the last 48 hours here in Chicago, Indiana, across the country, as well as a lot of the different things that the Chicago Urban League is doing to help people during this really crazy time. Because, Dion, when you really think about it, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. A lot of us have not been to work in months. A lot of us don't know where our next dollar is coming from. A lot of us are in economically challenged areas, food deserts, and now these folks have torn up everything in our communities. Where are you at with this?
Okay, so I have to just start with this. We have to get to what we're talking about, why we're angry. George Floyd, a beautiful Black man who was living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, was murdered in broad daylight at the hands of the police. That's what we're upset about. This happened only days after you had other incidents that happened, which really upsets you. But I think what's lost in all of this, sadly, is we're talking about a Black man who was unarmed, who was pulled over for doing something supposedly using a counterfeit $20 bill, which they've said he may not have even known that he had the counterfeit bill. And when you look at the footage, and you see him patiently, calmly being walked from the store, handcuffed, how do you get from that to being on the ground? And the other footage, which is so heartbreaking to see, are other officers who probably have a combined weight of 500 pounds that are holding him down outside of the other officer that's on his neck. I think that's why we all need to realize all of the officers need to be charged, every single one of them. And I find it very interesting that we keep losing why we're even angry, why we're even in this moment right now. It's about another Black person being murdered, being lynched, and the world watching. When I'll be honest, it was just heartbreaking. Like I couldn't even really focus on it because it just took me back to other images you keep seeing over and over again. It made me think of images reminiscent of the time of lynchings and a whole crowd of white people standing there taking pictures. Here we are in 2020. And we're talking about the same thing. There's something wrong. When you can't look at a human being and we can't get the same respect, just human to human, literally, the president is on the air talking about some, we need to restore order, but yet neither one of them, of the other officers, have been charged. Are you kidding me? When you look at that young white man who was accused of killing 2 people, and the way that you commandeered him casually, he's still alive and he murdered people. And yet George Floyd did nothing other than possibly using a counterfeit $20 bill. Does that really add up? No.
It is not, and it does not add up. And the thing is that if we don't get the justice we deserve behind this particular situation, and a change quickly from what we are normally used to, there's nothing else left to destroy. You get what I'm saying? I'm torn as a Black man who's been through several cases of discrimination, several cases of just outright abuse. I've been sick of it, but I've always been told to just hold on, continue to have faith, continue to move forward. Well, sometimes we really do feel like your damn faith is giving out. It's gone.
Yeah.
Faith, you know what I'm saying? So my heart bleeds for anybody of my skin color who is suffering, who's oppressed, who has not been able to live the life they want to live. And what a lot of our counterparts don't understand is, yeah, I might be in this boardroom with you, but you don't realize what I had to go through to get to this boardroom.
That's right.
You could be an endowment fund baby. You could be, the legacy of whatever it is. No, I had to bust my ass to get some type of economy in this world, and then discriminated against is ridiculous.
Oh, and what I look at the covert racism that we have to deal with constantly, right? We always have to deal with the covert racism. We have to deal with the institutional racism. There's so many parts here, and it really disturbs me that people who don't look like us, they will listen for a second, but because it doesn't affect them directly, because it does not interfere with their regular lives, they don't really pay attention. Sadly, a lot of times people don't pay attention until you do something disruptive. Hence, the protests and the riots. I think, sadly, I know no one wants to see your community burn down. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody. But it makes you angry that that's the only time you've actually acknowledged. Now you actually want to pay attention to some extent, but you're really paying attention to the value lost, right? And that's what's so sad, because all of it's horrible. All of it's horrible. But you're only paying attention because now it's affected you. Now it's made you uncomfortable because it has affected where you live, work, and shop.
Right. Yeah, but here's the horrible part about all of this. In every community, there are good people. There are people who are churchgoers, go to work, do what they need to do. They just happen to live in particular neighborhoods for whatever the reason could be, sentimental, financial, whatever it might be. We now have a situation where young people, and I won't even say African Americans, but from what I can witness, it has been a lot of African Americans in the city of Chicago have destroyed our neighborhoods and our communities. It's the first of the month. It's the first of the month. That means Big Mama can't go cash her check.
That's right. That's exactly
Big Mama can't go get her blood pressure medicine. She can't go get her smoked meat for her greens. She can't do none of that because anything that was in walking distance for Big Mama, y'all done throw it up. It's gone.
That's right.
It's gone. So where do we, how do we even spin this at this particular point?
That's part of the problem, right? That's part of the problem. You have so many elements here. We know we all are heartbroken. We're frustrated. We're enraged. We're confused because of what keeps happening time and time again. When you look at, we're grateful for the cell phone footage, right? Sadly, if we didn't have that, would we even be here right now? But did it really make a difference when Rodney King was pulled over, which was around 30 years ago, and there were riots? Sadly, there were riots again. But here we are 30 years later dealing with the same stuff. I mean, you had the footage clearly for Laquan McDonald. Here we are again. And now we're dealing with multiples back to back. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, now George Floyd. And when you think back, it was only 4 years ago when Philander Castile in Minnesota died at the hands of police. Here we go again. It just makes you so angry because everybody has a right to be angry. Everybody has a right to protest. But you do not. Why? It makes no sense to burn up your community. It makes no sense to do any of that. I'm sorry. I can't tell you how to protest, but that makes no sense. You're affecting your own community. You're affecting your own livelihood. We're also in a pandemic. Now we're dealing with two pandemics, one viral and one racial.
Yes.
I mean, this doesn't make any sense. And when you look back and when people ask that question, we would not be here right now if he had not laid on his neck. Let's be real. We would not be here right now, even regardless of the horrible things that continue to happen to us as a people. But we would not be here had he just done what he was supposed to do as an officer of the law, is to protect the people. Is that not what you're supposed to do? When you put on that badge, you're supposed to do it. You see other upstanding people that do it. You see other people from different, you saw the Flint sheriff walking along with protesters saying, I'm with you. What can we have more that actually will stand up and say, I'm with you, versus be in riot gear to push you back and yet be upright? You're upset, but yet you're not saying, yeah, we need to go ahead and get these charges. Make sure you pull the other 3 officers. Where is that swift justice? We're still waiting for it.
That's right. And it seems as if we will be waiting for it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that something's going to have to change very soon. If not, we will be living among rubble. And I can only imagine what these COVID numbers will look like after this. Yesterday, as I was watching the news, Dion, all I kept thinking was blood, sweat, spit, wiping your face and eyes, no mask on, 10 of y'all in a car deep. I'm thinking, the COVID numbers are going to be off the chain. Before we continue that conversation, though, I do want to give the latest state of Illinois COVID update numbers, if I could. Dion, you okay? You enjoying yourself?
Sure. Go for it.
Are you enjoying yourself? Yeah.
Of course, I'm here with you. I can't hug you, so I'm happy to be here with you.
Oh, I'm glad you're here with me. For those of you all that are just joining the show, this is the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, coming to you live via Facebook and YouTube. All you have to do is go to the realchatdaddyshow.com. Again, that's the The Real Chat Daddy Show is what Facebook and YouTube is. The Real Chat Daddy is what my website is. Lord, I got to remember all of that. Good God. Dion Nicole Smith is our special guest co-host tonight. We just love and adore her. She's a Renaissance woman and a philanthropist. She's here to talk with us later on in the show tonight about a wonderful opportunity. What we don't realize as well, too, there are quite a few sick people just walking around in our world right now. They need special medical attention. And now more than ever, during a pandemic and a riot, imagine you're dealing with a terminal illness, a debilitating disease, whatever the case may be, and you have nowhere to go for a safe haven, or guess what? You may not even have the money right now for a safe haven. So Dion is going to talk to us about that safe haven. Right, Dion?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So wait a minute, Dion. I thought I had my COVID numbers. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
find them and give them a little bit later.
The
But
ones for the state or the ones for the nation?
the ones from the state, do you have them?
You know what? I mean, in terms of infections or in terms of death, because
No,
it
no, no.
breaks my heart.
I just do the number of tested cases. I thought I had them here. Wait a minute. That's so funny. They were in my script.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
must have transferred my script over. Well,
You
let's
know,
talk about the number of people that were out there and how those rates are going to go up.
that, I can honestly say that the protesters that were out there, I literally I just was praying for them. All those beautiful, peaceful protesters that were out there. I've just been praying for them because I understand. I understand your heart. I understand you wanting to speak up. I understand the brokenness. I understand how you feel. And it's just it's hard because this is going on, but you have to make your voice heard. So you're out there and you're not even thinking about your health right now. You're thinking about standing up for injustice. So I truly been praying for them. And I love them for doing that. I just hate that you have had these groups. And I really truly do wish the media would be more diligent in reporting that you have a difference between protesters and agitators. You have a lot of wonderful people, all different races, who are out there standing up to say our lives matter just like your lives matter.
Mm-hmm.
Our lives are just as important because we keep seeing time after time after time since the beginning of time. You've tried to show us that you don't feel, and you look at us as being 3/5 of a human being, right? Which is taken from the way back when, those voting rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you keep proving that to us, but you see the outrage from people of all races, and you see them marching together. But then you always are going to have an alt-right contingent come on. You're always going to have infiltrators who are going to come into the area, who are going to join and act like they're a part, and you're going to focus on that negative angle. You're going to focus on that because that makes more of a news story, right? You're going to focus on that because of sheer destruction. And then on top of it, you just have knuckleheads who are going to be part of it, who are opportunities. So you have three different people who are in the mix, and that's just real.
The frightening part about all of this is the knuckleheads. That's what the frightening part of all of this is about. The knuckleheads are the nephews, nieces, cousins, relatives of many people who are either disconnected from their people, then my other relatives, whatever the case may be. But we as African Americans, we've got to have a much better kumbaya moment. And we've not had that kumbaya moment in my lifetime. We have always said it's gonna get better, we gonna do better. No, something's got to be done quickly, because we are losing it. I really felt yesterday that we were living in our last days, and I'm still on pins and needles right now. And I thank God where I live at, I'm on just before it would get bad, but they were staging in my area to go get bad. You get what I'm saying? And it hurt my heart to know that I'm watching people prepare themselves. You couldn't even reach the police yesterday. Their switchboard received, somebody said, what, 65,000 phone calls an hour or something?
And it was crazy. It was crazy. Right. Yeah.
So I just don't know what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do this to get control of our own young people. And somebody said, well, it was other races out there doing it. I said, well, here's a live shot on the TV of them going in the store, busting the store open, taking all the stuff out, and this is a live shot. This is not somebody a cell phone video. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
and here's the deal: whether they from out of town or not, that's not my business. I just want Black children not to be so disrespectful and so out of pocket.
And that's the sad part, because you do see, we know you see footage that may not be shown of other people starting stuff. But when you see our people, I'm sorry. When you see our people, the first thing I think of is, where is your mother and your father? Where is your aunt and your grandmother? It breaks my heart. And where is your community? Where's your village that would say to you, why would you tear up the items, the things, our livelihood? Why would you tear that up? As you just said, first of the month, we know a lot of people who need support from government. They go out at the first of the month. They may need to cash their checks. When you saw the footage of all the businesses that were damaged, now where are you going to go?
Right.
And how are you going to explain it?
Right.
How are you going to explain it? Because
Right.
you can't. I'm sorry. You can't be outraged. You can't be in an uproar about that and about people now leaving your community because you've destroyed it. You can't be in an uproar about that. But I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
Go right ahead. Finish your statement.
No, you can't be in an uproar about that. And I'm just going to say one more thing about this, because I love and respect Mayor Lightfoot tremendously. I do. I think she's done an amazing job. But I will say, I do not, sorry, but you may say all of the force was equally dispersed throughout the neighborhoods. I'm sorry, but I was watching Channel 7, ABC Channel 7. I was watching the newscast, the footage that continuously went on from 7 something, 8 o'clock at night, all the way to 10 o'clock through. And you're showing how many cops were in Old Town with about 10 people protesting versus 54th and Wentworth, 3 blocks away from the station at 51st Street.
Right.
And where were the cops? I'm sorry. That's just blatant. What people were asking you today at your press conference, sorry that you got insulted, but you can look at the footage. We're not making this stuff up.
No.
So please go back and look at the footage. I respect you, but I'm calling you out. Go back and look at the footage. 54th and Wentworth, right there at the Dan Ryan. That shopping plaza was gutted.
Yes.
But yet you have people at 51st, you have a station, and you all are literally just standing outside because it was on TV. They kept going back and forth to those shots. They kept going back to the shots. Old Town versus 54th and Wentworth. North Side versus South Side. We're not making this stuff up.
No.
So I'm sorry. And I'm not going to sit here and say that you weren't out there. You made arrests. Okay, fine. But what makes me so sad is because all of it's wrong. All of it's wrong. But what makes me so sad is quick to arrest. And we know that because we don't want our communities destroyed. But quick to arrest. And where were the quick arrests when you talk about Laquan McDonald? Where were the quick arrests when you talk about George Floyd? Where are the quick arrests when you talk about Breonna Taylor, we're still trying to fight for get her justice in Louisville, Kentucky? You can't even live, you can't even be in your own house. This woman did nothing, and they barged into her house. Where is that? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm yelling. I'm just so angry, and those that just don't get it.
You saw out there that your afro just jumped clean up. It woo when it went back down. It did. No.
Look, I get so passionate because people do not want to seriously look at the injustice in this country unless it affects them. Hence the riots. And it's the truth. Because that affected your livelihood, because that affected where you shopped, now you want to pay attention. All of us are hurting. None of us want to see our communities destroyed. Not one of us. But can we get back to why people are angry in the first place? And I'm not about to call a spade a spade. You have the right to feel what you want. I don't want to see anybody's community destroyed, especially not my own. But why are we enraged? Why are we enraged? Because we as a Black people have been shown time and time again, we've been told your life doesn't matter. And we know that's a lie. We come from a resilient people. We're still here. We're still here after the hundreds and hundreds of years being enslaved in this country, building this country. We're still here. So we know that's a lie. We know that's a fallacy. We know we're beautiful people. But yet society continues to look at us as if we're nothing.
Right.
And at this point, we're like a boiling pot with the lid that's already come off now, or I say like a firefly, a lightning bug that's in a container that's being, that's been sitting in there, and you don't see how beautiful it is, and as soon as you take it off, it flies away. Well, yeah,
right.
It's off. The lid is off now. And some people say we're not afraid, and I don't think we've ever been afraid. And that's the thing. We have so many cases. Thank you, Booker T. It's the truth. We have so many cases of injustice against us, right? Riots against us. Our communities burning down, not by our means, by others. But people never want to bring that up. Never want to bring that up. You don't want to look at the real history of this country that was founded on what? Taking land that wasn't yours to begin with. Can we just go there? Are we really gonna go there? Taking stuff that wasn't yours to begin with.
But see, how has it gotten away with what it has gotten away with for so long, though? Again, that's the question that we've got to continue to keep saying. Here we are, 2020, and this situation has gotten away from us in such a epic proportion like this. I mean, I'm telling you, I last night it was almost like the night that I found out my mother was dead. You get what I'm saying? The anxiety, the pressure, the wonder, Lord, if I lay down and go to sleep, will I wake up and all my windows busted out? I mean, you know what I'm saying? And you would not want to fear like that. But this is what has happened to us. And before we bring our next guest on, I'm gonna let you finish your statement, and then we're gonna bring our wonderful next guest on in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Art, I could go on. I literally could go on this whole hour and a half, and it's the truth. And I'm gonna say this because I truthfully had a couple things that I was gonna bring up, but I'm gonna say this quickly because this is easy. I'm just gonna say Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? That's where we are.
That's where we are, Dion. That's where we are. Well, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. And each and every night, Monday through Thursday, from 7 to 8:30 p.m., whoever my guest co-host and I, we bring you the top news stories from the weekend and the day, with this being Monday. We also have very special guests each and every night that introduce us to just a plethora of things that are able to help us to understand where we are in this world. This show was created since we've been on lockdown in the pandemic, COVID-19, and it's getting rave reviews, wonderful guests. A lot of people want to hang out with us on this show. We want to thank Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. She was a very special guest on a very special Friday night show we had on Friday evening, along with an array of other wonderful community people. And so the guest thing just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Our next guest is someone who I wanted to interview her when she was the mayor of Gary, Indiana, and I didn't get that chance. But now that she is the president of the Chicago Urban League, I feel like I got the banana split with all of the toppings and an extra cherry, because she knows that I think she is the bombdiggity.com, and she's here tonight to help us navigate our way through what we've gone through in the last 48 hours, as well as what we should look for in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president and CEO of the Chicago Urban League, the incredible Miss Karen Freeman Wilson. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? How's
Good.
everybody? Let me get
How
this
are
camera
you?
That's
straight
all right.
so that
Take your time. Now, look, we all get used to this.
I know.
We
I
got,
know.
we got you. Look, can you
How
hear us?
about that?
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yep,
All
Very
we
right.
hear
good.
you.
All right.
Thank you
So
for
glad
coming.
to join you all today.
Good. We are honored to have you here with us this evening. And first of all, it's so much we want to talk about. You were the first female mayor of Gary, Indiana. You also was the 20th mayor of Gary, Indiana. And now
Wow,
you are
that's,
the
I didn't even know that.
you were the
I
20th
wasn't
mayor
counting.
of Gary. See, I got it all. Now. I
You
did
you
all
that.
had, you were busy. You were working.
You were
You weren't thinking about that.
What'd you say, Dion? Yeah,
I
you
said she was busy. She was working. She was
Right.
trying to make a difference. She wasn't busy working,
Now I
thinking
can't
about.
hear Dion.
You
Oh,
can't hear
really?
me at all. Can you hear me?
You can't hear Dion now? Well,
Okay, now
Dion was.
she just said, yeah.
Oh, she heard you
Can
then.
you hear
She
me
was-
now?
Can you hear her now?
Say it again.
Karen, can you hear me now?
No, I cannot.
Okay,
Wow.
Art, you're gonna have to. you're gonna have
Okay. All right. Hold tight. Well, again, history making the first female mayor of Gary, Indiana, the 20th mayor of Gary, Indiana, and now we are still in a global pandemic. In the last we had all kinds of chaos, destruction. So
Art, you're like going in and out, hon.
what's going on now? Okay, how about now?
Okay, that's
Okay,
better.
now I'm good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's get your take on everything that has gone on with all of the looting, the first George Floyd. This
You're like going in and out again, Art.
Can you guys? Okay.
Okay.
No,
I can. We can hear you.
All right. I think we're good.
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
got-
You can talk.
You guys can hear me. All right.
Mhm.
One of the things that I would say first, I can't tell you how much of an honor it is to join you and Dion Chat Daddy. Thank you for the invitation. I am a fan of your show and of your work. The other thing is that I will tell you that my heart has been heavy since really last Tuesday. When the news of what had happened in Minneapolis to Mr. Floyd broke, and then everything that came as a result of it. And I was sort of watching what was going on in cities across the country, including Chicago. And it felt like just something that was, there was a groundswell, if you would, that I thought would possibly get to what we saw this weekend. And there was such evidence of growing frustration and anger and just a sense of hopelessness. And I think that initially it was really being voiced through protests, which were really peaceful and well-meaning and a tremendous testament to the life of all to the lives of all of those, Mr. Floyd, Breonna Taylor, you know, Eric Garner, Laquan McDonald, all of them whose lives had been snuffed out at the hands of the police. But then it devolved. And so often when people don't know how to voice their frustrations, that happens. I mean, violence, there's certainly a relationship often between violence and frustration and anger.
Yep.
I think what we also see is an element that has essentially misappropriated that violence and frustration to their own purpose. And that's where we've gotten the looting and the lawlessness and the other things that we've seen that have essentially destroyed places in communities throughout the city, communities that we all depend on.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But it's difficult for people to separate the two. And that's why we are in a place that we are.
Yep.
So the question becomes, what do we do? How do we redirect what is understandable frustration and anger away from just a outward expression of this frustration to something that is meaningful, that says, these are the things that we want. This is how we envision achieving them. And this is how we're willing to work with you to make change happen.
Well, you know, the one thing that I am so hoping will happen in this situation, you know, I'm one of those people that have moved it. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I moved into an area where, you know, get the property, build it up. The area, you know, give it 5 to 10 years. The entire area will change. Well, after yesterday, the entire area is going to have to change, because guess what? You left nothing in this area for us. And here's the deal. Things came into this area to be able to provide it a so-and-so grocery store, or a so-and-so pharmacy, or whatever the case may be. And now what was here, you've taken it away. Karen, do you have any idea, just as the president of the Chicago Urban League and a former mayor, you will always be of a mayor status, how long do you think this type of redevelopment of neighborhoods will take?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you would ask that. I was on a call today in preparation for the march that's going to happen on Martin Luther King Drive tomorrow. And somebody raised the point, I think it was Pastor Wayne Gordon, who said, you know, they have still not rebuilt the Madison Street corridor on the west side after the riots of the 60s. So
that's right.
It could take 20, 30, 40 years to get some of those institutions rebuilt. And here's what we know. There has to be something that compels corporate America. I'm talking about the Walgreens and Family Dollars and those entities to rebuild. Now, here's what I will tell you. They certainly have a social responsibility component to their work. And you want to appeal to those groups or those arms of those organizations. But, you know, it's going to take an appeal. It's going to take some advocacy. It's going to take some convincing for them to do that. Just like you have to convince them to build in the first place.
Right. And that's the truth right there.
I don't know. I just was so devastated that I just couldn't even believe it. And the funniest thing is that, you know, I book these shows days in advance. I get
Sure.
my guests
Oh yeah, no,
sometimes
you
weeks
take
in
care.
advance. And what I love is that, you know, I had already said, oh no, I want Karen Freeman Wilson on the show. I had said,
Right.
you know, and here we are in a situation where she is probably one of the best authorities ever I could have on this show to just help us to understand, you know, not all hope is lost, but we've got to do a lot of work to roll up our sleeves, come together as a community. But most importantly, we've got to take our young people back and just nurture and love on them and try to change this dynamic
Oh,
around. If not,
absolutely.
I mean, we are in the midst of a pandemic. Keep that in mind. We are in the
That's
midst of
true.
something that most of us have never can't even spell it, let alone understand we in
Right.
it. And
Yep.
now
Yep.
we are in all this destruction. I just can't believe it. Karen, where are you at with this at this point before we move on to our next topic?
Well, you know, my thing is let's sit down. And I think the brother from my block, my city, my hood said it best yesterday. There are
Mhm.
levels to this, right?
That's true. That's true.
The protest is the first level, but then you need to know why you're protesting, what you're looking to gain, how you get that, who you need to sit down with. And so I don't want things to begin and end in the streets. It never can.
Mm-mm.
It has to go to those places in government, whether it's the state house, city hall, the county building. It has to go to the corporate boardrooms. We have to have community based organizations at the table. And so my where I think we are is that we are now poised to build an agenda that will help us to achieve all of those things that have given rise to this frustration. And here's what we know. We know there's going to be money that is coming out of Washington, coming out of Springfield, coming out of the city hall around COVID. We've
Mm-hmm.
already seen that. There's
Yep.
$40 million on the street for
Mm-hmm.
contact tracing. How
Mm-hmm.
can some of the folks who were out demonstrating get
Right.
those jobs? How can some of the folks who were looting get those jobs? So those are the things that we have to really focus on right now.
Very good. Well, I want to move on and talk about some of the initiatives that the Chicago Urban League has put in place in response to COVID-19. You all have a health center. Your
We
entire
do.
building is a health center. So, you know, just coming in the door of the Chicago Urban League is one of them things. As soon as you walk in, you almost feel like, thank you, Lord. That because you know there's help
That's
behind that
true.
door. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
what are
you know,
some of the incentives that you've been doing with COVID-19?
well, first, let me just give a shout out to an amazing team. And I just saw Penny Griggs on there, and she keeps our dollars in order. But, you know, we have a team that is really like a family. And one of the first things that we did was to stand up a COVID-19 help center that centered around small businesses, helping people with their housing needs, helping folks with their needs in education, because we know everybody doesn't have broadband, to help people with employment needs, and help folks to think about how they could transition their businesses once that stay-at-home order went into place. And so that's what we were doing. And that's what we are doing. Now, in addition to that, we developed a paper because we knew that there was going to be decision making around coming out of this pandemic and really transforming community in the pandemic. And we wanted to make some specific recommendations. For instance, we know that COVID-19 has hit Black and brown communities harder than it
Right.
has hit the white community. So as a result of that, I would say coming out of this shelter in place order has to be treated differently in the Black and brown community. Yes, there are phases, but I would suggest that in each phase, particularly phases 3, 4, and 5, it has to look differently in the Black and brown community. I don't think that we can do it the same as everybody else does it, even though, all of us are getting stir crazy. All of us want to leave the house. All of us want to go to the barber shop or the hairdresser. All of us want to do those things. And, but we have to treat it differently just because we understand the level of impact that we've seen in our community. We have to treat the whole issue of quarantining different. We have to treat the issue of employment different, because we know that one of the things that has created a greater risk for us is because we don't all have the luxury of working from home. We just don't.
That's right.
So what does that look like? So all of those things, I think, have a place and matter, quite frankly, as we look at not just recovering, and there's a lot of discussions around recovering, but we have to transform as a result of this. And I think that's really the imperative of what we've seen from the protest and from the anger and frustration we've seen in our community. Can we use the extra resources around COVID-19 to say, look, we need to put some of those, we need to earmark those resources that we know are going to be available for the Black community? How do we do that? And who do we discuss that need with?
Now, I understand that the Chicago Urban League is having a summit to kind of discuss some of the things with COVID-19.
We are.
And here's the crazy piece. This is the season of festivals and events and going to things and free giveaways. And the one thing I have to say, I laugh at friends of mine that when people give away the goodie bags and they have the hand sanitizer and the wipes and all that, I don't want that. I don't want that. Well, guess who had 100 of them?
All those hand sanitizers.
I know that's right.
Giving away. I had them. I have them.
Do you understand?
They are coming in handy.
True.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand me? I told somebody my grandmother would be proud. I got every bag that had the hand sanitizer and all that in there. I got them and using them.
Got one in every room.
That's right. So now that the Urban League is not able to have an in-person type of summit, how will you all make this summit impactful for people to be a part of it?
So in February, mid to late February, we saw that there was going to be an issue with having an in-person summit, and we transitioned to a virtual summit. And I can tell you that this summit is going to be so impactful, people won't even think about the fact that it's not in person, that it's virtual. And what we're doing is really combining our traditional summit with our woke summit, with our job fair, and with our impact fellows convening. And all of that's going to be done on one day. We start at 8:30 with our traditional summit, and we've got 3 powerful panels. Mayor Lightfoot, Congresswoman Kelly are going to start the greetings. We believe that it will either be Governor Pritzker or Lieutenant Governor Stratton to sort of start us in the process. Mark Morial, our National Urban League president, is going to start the process. And then we are going to talk about economic development. We're going to talk about health, and we're going to talk about, the whole philanthropy aspect of it and education. And there are going to be three powerful panels, I can tell you. We've gotten some amazing sponsors. People's Gas came with us out of the gate, Walgreens, Chase Bank, and they are all committed because they understand how COVID-19 has devastated our community, but more importantly, how important it is to come up with concrete solutions for coming out of COVID-19. And that's so important to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dion, if Karen can hear you, do you have a question for her? If not, I can translate it.
Karen, can you hear me? Can you hear me? No,
I can't. I still can't hear. I don't know what
Karen, look, this a black TV show. Look, this is a black TV show. We figures it out. Now, what do you want to say to her? Right.
Okay, so I just want to know, I'm curious about the COVID dollars. Has the Urban League been a part of that whole CCT fund? Have you been recipients of anything yet?
Her question to Karen is that has the Chicago Urban League been recipients of funding to be able to give to people due to COVID? The big overall package.
Sure. So we have
Community Trust.
Right. We have not because a lot of them were directed towards food and shelter, some of the basic necessities, water. But what we have been able to do is provide support. You know what? I said no too soon because we were one of the organizations that assisted the city with making those $5,000 grants to businesses.
Okay.
And so we were able to disperse $5,000 to about 200 businesses. We just finished the last few businesses, I believe it was last week. And that was a tremendous opportunity to partner with the city in that program because, you know, so many of the business help and business support had been given to larger businesses that fell in the small business category because they counted businesses with up to 500 employees. That's not really our community.
Exactly.
You know, in our community, we're talking about businesses that employ 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 people at the most. Certainly less than 10, less than 20. Mm-hmm. And so that $5,000 made a huge difference. So we've not provided that those direct dollars other than in that instance. But what we have been able to do is help those businesses think about how do you pivot, right? How do you now offer your business virtually? How do you set up delivery? How do you set up pickup for those businesses? So that's been one of our ways of doing it. And then the other is to say to folks who are concerned about housing foreclosure, who are concerned about how they might work with their landlords so that they are not evicted, you know, immediately because of their inability to pay their rent. How do we help them as an intermediary to help that? So that's been a lot of the work that we've been doing. How do we help folks who are concerned because of their risk of COVID-19? How do you find testing services? How do you find mental health services? You know, I've been honored to serve with the president of NAMI and the president of Heartland Services on the Recovery Task Force as co-conveners of the Wellness and Mental Health Committee. How do we ensure that our pastors are seen as are trained to deliver sort of those first responder mental health services, not in-depth counseling, but at least to intervene when they find their members in crises. And we know that Pastor Chris Harris has been a tremendous proponent of that type of work. So those are the types of things that the Urban League has been involved in very early on.
That's great.
I love it. I do. I think it's just absolutely incredible. Yeah, look, yeah.
And how do we get people to continue to focus on the census? Because understand that all of this is related. There is an issue with the census. If we don't fill out the census, then we're not in a position to continue to address the impact of this pandemic in our community. Please, 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 if you haven't already done so, please fill out your census. June 19th is Black Census Day. So, if you haven't done it before then, and we want you to do it now, but if you haven't done it before then, we want you to definitely do it on Juneteenth, as we know it in our community.
Yay! We all there, baby.
And tune in to the virtual summit at noon hour for our Woke Summit, which really is something that is targeting small businesses. There's going to be a live DJ. So we're going to stop at noon. You know, there's no lunch hour, but there is absolutely a party break.
All right.
Hey, I love it. Well, how can we continue to follow the Urban League? What are the social media connections?
Well, please join us at shyul.org. That's our website. At shyul is our IG and Facebook. And of course, hit me on Twitter at Karen About Gary. I'm trying to figure out how to change that handle so that it might be Karen About Everybody.
That's right. Yeah, look, I'll talk to your people, but you do need to be caring about everybody.
Yeah, so there's no question that I do. I just need to have a Twitter handle that reflects that.
Well, very good. You are truly a godsend. You are one of the most down-to-earth people that I've, ever met. I just love your energy. And I finally got my wish to be able to interview and have a good time.
You are too kind. You are too kind, both of you.
Thank you. Unfortunately,
you have to have me back so I can hear Dion.
Yes, anytime.
We have to come back. For sure. For sure.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Love you guys. And thanks for what you do.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Karen Freeman Wilson. Yay. President of Chicago Urban League and former mayor of Gary, Indiana. We just love her. Dion, she helped us, didn't she?
That's right.
She worked that. She did. She really did.
I mean, seriously, we needed to get that information. And that's why I wanted you to. And I'm glad that Ms. Coleman is putting up that link in your Facebook feed, because we need to get that information out. I mean, I'm sorry, but that was one thing that I was always concerned about when this pandemic started was, okay, I hear the big boys coming together as a collective to raise funds. That's great. But how does that trickle down, right? That's always the question. How does that trickle down to the people that really need it?
Right.
Who's going to actually get those funds? So that's what's so important. That's so important.
Yes, it is. It really is. Well, are you having a good time, my friend? You okay?
Of course, I'm having a good time. And really what I just, I know you have your plan. I know you do. But I can't help it. Like, there are a couple of things that I really just wanted to bring out, and to make sure the public thought about some of these things. I have my quotes ready, bruh. I have my quotes ready.
Wait, Dion. Wait, I'm getting ready to turn the floor back over to you now, little Angela Davis. Just relax, Angela Davis. The revolution gonna be televised on this show. Just hold on, little Angela Davis. There's some show things I must do real quick. Let me plug a few things. Let me do some shameless plugs. But Angela Davis, I need you to get back on the JOB.
It's your show.
Yeah, amen, baby. So take a sip of your beverage and give me a minute. All right, for those of you all that are just joining us, good evening. Welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. I am here Monday through Thursday night from 7 to 8:30 p.m. We're a reality news, entertainment, variety show. We do a little bit of everything. I really do enjoy doing this with you guys each and every night. Every night I have a different co-host. These are people who are my friends, who are, you name it. Our co-host tonight is Dion Nicole Smith. She is a Renaissance woman and a philanthropist. Ooh, she is. She really is. But she's my friend. She's down to earth. She's cool. We just love to go have breakfast when we used to go do that and just talk about the world in which we live in. And so tonight, Dion is here to just talk to us about where we are. The last 48 hours in the United States has just been something absolutely horrific in over 140 cities across the country. Here in Chicago, we've had just so much looting and rioting that has just been unbelievable. I physically was sick yesterday when I went to bed because I just couldn't believe that everything is in ruins, and it's just not what I envisioned in my lifetime. And to know that we're going through a global pandemic, and now this, the way I look at it, it's our last days. But I also look at it like this. Coming up on the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. Wasn't that a smooth segue? Wasn't that smooth, baby?
That's why you do what you do.
That was true. All right. We'll continue to talk about the looting and rioting that is going on across the country, as well as what's going on here in Chicago. Tomorrow night, my brother Chris Avent will join us. And, you know, whenever Chris and I are together, we always have some intellectual conversation. We like freaking frack until we can meet in the middle and then holler back. But that's the way he and I work. And he'll be here tomorrow night. Also joining us from New Orleans, Louisiana is book author and public relations practitioner Tasha Smith Mills. She's written a book entitled Mama, I Should Have Listened. And this book is all about generational curses and generational disadvantages. Tasha is the mother of a gentleman serving time in prison, and her son was young, much like these young people who are out here stealing and looting. And she's written a book to help mothers, because a lot of times mothers who are economically deprived, when their child is sent off to prison, that is it. There's no helping them. There's no money for lawyers, none of it. So Tasha will be here tomorrow night to talk to us about a plethora of things, of how we can get ourselves together, how we can embrace our brothers and sisters that are economically challenged and disadvantaged, and how we can all have a kumbaya moment, as well as she's looking for mothers who have children that are incarcerated and they just don't know what to do. She mentors these people. She meets women. She brings them to an actual summit and help them. Isn't that something? She is amazing. She really is. So she'll be here tomorrow night to talk to us about a plethora of things. Now, tomorrow during the day, as you guys all know, today was the kickoff of my new Instagram show. Yay! Soul Food. What Feeds Your Soul, from 12 to 12:30. I sit down for one-on-one interviews with some of the most fascinating people ever to find out, first of all, what food inspires their soul, who first introduced them to soul food, and then we talk about who they are and where they come from. Today, my guest for lunch was the incredible Miss Bonnie Deshawn, legendary radio personality, community activist, and philanthropist. She's a humanitarian, darling.
That's right. She is.
She's a humanitarian, darling. She was my first guest. It was really good. Please go to Instagram Live. Check it out. Follow me on Instagram, ChatDaddy1. So tomorrow, my very special guest is gospel artist Bobby Lewis. He is one of the sons of jazz great Ramsey Lewis. And so Bobby Lewis will be here tomorrow to talk about his ministry, his music, and what gives him the power to continue to be just such a great person. So Instagram Live, 12 noon tomorrow, Chat Daddy 1. I'm on Instagram. Please check me out. 12 to 12:30 is your virtual lunch with Chat Daddy. And we actually have lunch while we're doing this. Today was
I
day.
love it.
It was my juicing day. So I had carrot juice, and then I had a smoothie that looked like mud. But it's all to keep me perfect, keep me
It
regular.
looked like mud, really.
It did, baby. It looked like mud. It was the cherries and the blueberries and the spinach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's
Nice
what it
and
was.
healthy. I'm just eating real cherries though. So
Oh,
sorry.
me too. It's the season. It's the
It's the
season. It's
season.
the cherry season. It is. And then listen, tomorrow afternoon, I have the honor and pleasure of being on the Rhythm and Flow radio live show, hosted by my good friend Katie Lowe. Tomorrow at 4:45 p.m., I'll go live with her. I'll talk
Nice.
about this new show, my new Instagram show. I'll talk about George Floyd, COVID-19, the
Great.
riot in Chicago. It's an unscripted, uncensored one-on-one interview with me, with Katie Lowe tomorrow on Rhythm Flow Radio Show on intellectualradio.com. I'll
Love
post
it. Love it.
I do. I will. So now, Dion, do you want to go off on your tangent, or do you want to talk about? Wait a minute, we got time for both, child. We got time for both. I just didn't know if your tangent needed to be completed before you did the other thing, but the other thing can be last. However you want to do this.
Look, I'm gonna use this opportunity too, since you brought up gospel. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me while I'm on this pilgrim journey, Lord. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. I thought we needed a little music break for a second because you brought up Bobby Lewis. So,
amen. Look,
I just thought we needed that for a second because we need the Lord right now.
I didn't know we was gonna get the first Tabernacle Choir of Dion, but you know, that's okay.
Look, we need it because we know we need the Lord right now. I mean, with everything we have going on, it's so hard to keep hope alive, right? It is so hard to just have hope, but we know we have to have hope because we're resilient people. We know this. We have to have hope. So I just have to bring up, because of the fact that so many people have been using it lately, I have to bring up Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's quote that came from the Other America speech from 1967 at Stanford University. I have to bring up part of this quote because it goes back to what we're talking about, all of the issues with it. And he says, let me say, as I've always said, and I will always continue to say, that riots are socially destructive and self-defeating. But at the same time, it is as necessary for me to be as vigorous in condemning the conditions which cause persons to feel that they must engage in riotous activities as it is for me to condemn riots. I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. And what is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. And so, in a real sense of our nation's summers of riots are caused by our nation's winters of delay. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention. I had to say that because That's 1967. Seriously? 1967 art. I mean, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. And it just, it's so hard. It's just so hard to even fathom. But
Dion, how do we start to pick up the pieces? How do we start to even put the eggshells back together? Let me say this, Chicago, I applaud you. I really do. Thank you guys for all of you all who have gotten out with the shovels, the garbage bags, the gloves. I noticed so many people on social media are posting about cleanups. Continue to tag me on Facebook, you guys, and let me know about any efforts that you're doing. Because of health restrictions, I can't physically be out there with you guys, but I am your messenger. I am your new form of news in the evening now, and I'll be more than happy to mention these things on the show. I'm even going to talk about, we don't have grocery stores right now in our communities, and will not have grocery stores right now. For those of you all that are in the Chicagoland area, all Walgreens and CVS are closed. Even the ones on the border of Evergreen and Oakland, Illinois. Right now, the Jewel at 79th and Cicero is open. The Jewel at 95th and Pulaski is open. The Walgreens at 95th and Pulaski, it's open, and the Target at 73rd and Cicero. And this is for any of you all in the Chicagoland area that need food or medicine, because keep in mind, downtown Chicago is closed.
It's closed.
And now, after yesterday, most of our neighborhoods have nothing.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, the whole situation with the downtown being closed, I know this is nowhere close to what our people were dealing with, but it made me think of the apartheid days when people had to show their ID just to go and work in certain areas. And with the National Guard blocking off downtown and the Loop, that's exactly what people had to do today. They blocked off all those areas. So unless you lived and worked in the Loop, you couldn't go in the Loop. All the service was cut to the Loop. That's deep. None of us in our lifetime thought we would be going through this. It's just heavy. No. It's heavy.
A couple of people have sent me a few threads. The Walgreens at 115th and Kedzie is open.
Okay.
But let's think about this. Let's think about Miss Sadie Mae, 79 years old. She already afraid to go out of house. She only go to church on Sunday. She go to the store when somebody's able to take her. And now Miss Sadie is stuck in her house. Hell, I'm a grown man and don't know when I'm leaving out of my house. So imagine Miss Sadie Mae and what she would be going through.
It just really, I mean, I have an 80-year-old mother who, thank God, is still here after having a stroke last year. And, you know, my father sadly is gone. But, you know, I think about the fact that she has medicine that she has to take every day. And, you know, I'm just praying that her pharmacy may still be able to provide. But I don't really know right now. I'm just grateful she has what she needs right now for the next, you know, couple of weeks. But we should never be at a point where you have to sacrifice just those basic necessities. It just, and sadly, we know that for a lot of people, that's what wakes people up, right? But this is destroying. This has affected all of us. This has affected all of us. So, you know, we have to vote is what we have to do. You ask me, we have to vote. I'm sorry. Every single young person who's out there, every single young person, ones who decided to do what they were doing, I don't want to hear nothing if you don't go to the polls. I don't want to hear a thing. You have to vote. You have to vote. It's just that simple. Too many people died for the right to vote. My mother, my uncles, my family, they are from Mississippi. They were down there in the midst of voting rights campaigns with Medgar Evers. My uncle actually worked in the midst of Stokely Carmichael. I mean, come on, people. Wake up. Wake up. We got to vote. Too many people died.
Mm-hmm.
We have to vote.
I don't know. I just, I tell people I've lived through a AIDS pandemic. I've lived through being a young Black man from the South Side of Chicago through gang problems. I'm a product of the Chicago public school system.
Mm-hmm.
I have traveled the world, through my career. God has allowed me to touch radio, television, and newspaper. And being a little Black boy from the South Side of Chicago, that's really unheard of. I've had my ups, my downs, but I've never seen anything like what has happened in the last 48 hours. And if you are not numb to what has happened in the last 48 hours, then you are a heartless son of a so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
If the last 48 hours has not affected you and you've not had some type of pain or issue, or you've not reached out to somebody to say, hey, you okay? You all right? 4 people offered me to come stay at their house last night. And I was like, oh, is it like that? I said, no, I'm okay.
Right.
And then, but I just, don't even know, what to do anymore after what happened last night. And I used to mentor young people. I believe in our young people,
I love our young people. It's the truth. I'm right with you. I love them. I've always, I don't have any kids of my own. And so, people look at me as Auntie Dion, or I do have a god baby, but it's the truth. It's like, I love our young people, and I know how beautiful they are. And sadly, a lot of that also comes back to when you don't love yourself, how you going to love somebody else? And I know that's RuPaul's favorite line, but it's the truth. If you don't love yourself, you don't know how to show love. You don't know how to show respect. You don't know right from wrong because you haven't been taught it. There's so many things that are attached to that. And I want to say, as we deal with all of this too, we all have to work, right? We all have to still, with broken hearts and frustration, we all have to go to work. And like me, I work for IMD Guest House, and we provide temporary housing for those that are dealing with medical treatment from the hospitals like Rush and UI Health and County that have been on the front lines of dealing with this pandemic. So just imagine, we're dealing with having to house people whose treatments were postponed because of the pandemic. We've actually housed nurses and doctors who haven't been able to go home, and we've given them free rooms because we wanted them to stay safe in order to provide care for everybody battling their lives. And so as an organization, it's really trying because we do such amazing work, and we deal with people. We house people of all ages, all races, who need treatment, who need somewhere close to the hospital to stay when they're going through. And we know, and as someone who has to deal with things on a daily basis, when you're able to have the support of a place, a safe space, and then having friends or family close to you are able to be there with you and able to cover or take care of basic things, and having support from an organization like IMD Guest House that provides emotional support too. Because we help veterans too with PTSD. And we do some incredible work, but we're still here because we still have to help people, right? That didn't stop with the pandemic. So, it's something else.
People don't realize, Dion, now that this pandemic has blossomed and gone on as long as it has, I'm sure we're going to see an uptick in numbers from all this looting and stuff like that. Medical care does not discriminate. As you said, you treat all types. You welcome all types of people with open arms. Imagine the surge in number of cases you guys are going to get just because of people's carelessness, just because of people's disregard for medical science and all of that. I as I told you, I can't take no more. I can't.
It really is a challenge, and I will say this so that people are clear. Our guest house very much is a respite. You know, it's a safe, affordable place for people to go if they're waiting to have treatment, you know, whether they're dealing with cancer, whether they're dealing with an organ transplant, whether they're dealing with kidney disease, sickle cell, whether you're, you know, whatever they're dealing with, whether it's a child that's dealing with Niemann-Pick disease, they have somewhere that they can stay. And some people have had to stay with us for almost a year. So we thankfully are not dealing with COVID on that level. We're helping those, you know, in addition to dealing with our own patients or our own guests that I just mentioned, we're also helping those doctors and nurses who need to just stay close to the hospital and can't afford to go home because they want to keep their family safe. So we're providing that housing for them free of charge. And you know, that's a lot to be a nonprofit doing that free of charge when, just like every other nonprofit, we're sitting here in a pandemic and praying for funding like everybody else. So, you know, I'm just happy that I could get our name out there because IMD Guest House is amazing. We're Illinois Medical District, so we're right there, right across the street from UI Health and Rush and County. We're right there doing amazing work. So, you know, I hope that people can just consider supporting. We're at the end of a campaign, matching campaign tonight, and we're taking contributions up to 11:59. Not saying you have to wait till tonight. You can give tomorrow, the next day. But you know, we're trying to do some amazing work, and it's a challenge in the midst of this pandemic. I'm not going to even lie. It's a challenge, and you know, we trying to virtually connect with our people, virtually connect to our volunteers, amazing people who provide comfort and care, and we try to provide that hope. We do. We try to give hope and comfort. And it's been challenging. So, you know, I hope that people can go to www.imdguesthouse.org and really consider supporting us, because I want our communities to know that we're here and that we care and that we really, truthfully, if you know, if you need some place and you're going through, you know, look us up.
Well, Dion, you know, I told you, I said, listen, if you agree to be my co-host Monday night, I definitely wouldn't mind you talking about that, because as you guys all know, whether it was my newspaper, television, or radio career, I've always been about helping non-for-profit organizations, being someone who has had to utilize several non-for-profits over the years just to be able to stay alive, afloat. $10,000 a month cancer medicine. I mean, just whatever it is, I really have had to rely on a lot of these wonderful places that have been just a breath of fresh air. Yeah. And so with this being my new platform, Dion is actually the official kickoff of me now going back into helping non-for-profit organizations. So if you do have a non-for-profit organization that's legitimate and I can find out and research you and do everything, please let me know. I would love to help you guys any way I can. I'm an ADA 25 fellow and ambassador. And, you know, people with disabilities are treated poorly as well, too.
Oh, we know that.
People don't really understand that. And so whatever I can do to try to give back to mankind is what I'd like to do. So you have officially kicked off Chat Daddies doing non-for-profits again and giving them that love and energy they deserve. Because guess what? There won't be any black tie dinners right away. There won't be, you know, any of those things that we really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You know, I'm in the midst of planning a virtual fundraiser for later on in the year. It's the truth. It's like, we know events are going to be, the capacity is going to be limited. So a lot of us are going to have to go virtual. You know, we're going to have to look at those means. And that's why supporting us is so important, because we want to be able to be here and we want to be able to take care of people who really need that not just a temporary place to stay, a social and emotional support system, you know? And
Yeah.
it has just been amazing. I mean, even though, you know, our volunteer room has been closed, and even though it's been closed, we've gotten support from a couple of people who, like Northern Trust, they've donated food for goodie bags for people that are staying there. And, you know, a fraternity, Delta Epsilon Mu, they've donated, purchased blankets and donated, you know, so it's amazing. It's like, even if you can't, you have to shift and think about what you're able to do in this moment.
I love it. I really do. And I think it's the best thing ever, because we've got to help each other.
Yes.
I mean, again, we've seen this in the last 3 months. We've seen more destruction, death, mayhem, mischief.
Yes.
That I don't know. So what else can we do but roll up our sleeves, put the energy in, and help each other? So keep in mind, you guys, that's what this show is all about. How can we do what we need to do to continue to move forward? Let me say this real quick. My good friend Geraldine Bates is on one of my other pages, and she said that the Walgreens across the street from the St. Sabina Senior Building was destroyed yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
And we know that's a rather large senior building on the southwest side of Chicago. That is a heavily populated senior community. So guess what? Big Mama can't get her medicine. She can't get none of her stuff because y'all are. How about that? You know, and tow it up. She says also the owner of Kingdom Chevrolet, South Suburban Dodge, and Nissan dealership on Western, 30 cars were stolen from their lot yesterday.
What?
30 cars were stolen off of their lot.
Come on, people. Oh my Lord, we need help. We need prayer. God, Lord God, you need to cover us for real, because it's just my heart is broken. My heart is broken.
Dion, any websites or ways to follow you, any of that good stuff? And honey, you're gonna have to give us a good Negro spiritual to leave out of here tonight. You got to kumbaya us. You got to swaddle us in your bosom. We gonna need a hug, child. Right.
Okay, I will say this again. imdguesthouse.org. So www.imdguesthouse.org. And then my Instagram, I just got on Instagram, I'm late, is at Kenu Kimiko. And it's crazy. KENUKIMIKO. And that, if Kenu, people used to say I look like Kenu on Different Worlds, so that's where that comes from. And Kimiko, there was an R&B group, and the girl was half Korean. So I've always had jokes about looking part Asian. Yeah, crazy. Anyway. So that's where that name comes from. So, yeah. But I don't know if you want me to break out in the Mahalia Jackson.
You gonna have to. Look. This is a reality show, girl. Look, this is a reality show. We do what's necessary. Look, people watch this show for various reasons, just to laugh, but then a lot of them know we talking about some serious stuff on this show.
Look, this is my first laugh of the day. This is my first laugh of the day.
All right, let me close out the show, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you, and you can sing us out and look and help my show with these high ratings. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our amazing co-host tonight, Dion Nicole Smith, I just want to thank her. She did an outstanding job tonight. Our very own Angela Davis in the flesh. Please make sure give us the website to support the house again. How do we? What's the website?
www.imdguesthouse.org.
Yes. If there's anything that you guys can do to donate and give, that's to help families in need right now to have a place to stay when they're in the Illinois Medical District here in Chicago. And we've all been in that situation, being someone who had to take $10,000 a month medicines and not knowing where the medicine is coming from and worried about eating all of that. Let's help out with this situation. Dion, you've been a joy. We also want to thank the president and CEO of the Chicago Urban League, Karen Freeman Wilson, who is absolutely phenomenal. If her name rings a bell, she was the former mayor of Gary, Indiana. She was the first female mayor and the 20th mayor to serve the city of Gary. So don't forget, tomorrow, 12 noon, YouTube. Go to Chat Daddy 1 on YouTube and come have lunch with myself and gospel artist Bobby Lewis. We'll talk about what feeds his soul and who he is and any words of inspiration that he wants to share. And then tomorrow night, we'll continue to talk about top news stories, which is the looting, rioting, picketing, boycotting. We'll talk about all of that. And then Tasha Smith Mills will join us tomorrow night, and we'll talk about parenting when your child gets out of pocket and has to go to prison. We're trying to prevent all of this. We really are. My heart is broken. I'm so sad. I'm just worn out from everything that has gone on. I just wish you all Godspeed. Every day I wake up, I said, thank you, Lord. You allow me to see another day. But it's a lot to take in. It really is. I hope that our cities stay peaceful across the country tonight. And to take us out in song is songstress Dion Nicole. Love you guys. TheRealChatDaddy.com. Take it away, Nicole. Go ahead, Dion, Nicole. Go ahead.
It don't matter.
Right.
Soon I will be done. Trouble of the world. Trouble of the world. Trouble of the world. Soon I will be done. Trouble of the world. Going home to live with God.
Good night, my love. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, everybody. TheRealChatDaddy.com, the amazing Dion Nicole Smith. I love you all so very much. Have a beautiful night. Stay safe. Stop looting. Stop rioting. Be beautiful people. We want Godspeed and God's love on all of you all. And remember, you've messed up your grandparents, your parents, just anybody. Y'all did team too damn much, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I get it, but then I don't get it all in the same breath. Have a great night, you guys. God bless you so much. Dion, they love that song. You did a great job. You did a great job.
That was Mahalia Jackson. Had to bring her out.
That's right. That's right. We love you guys so very much. Good night and one.